Yesterday there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Hannah Olson and I live in Minnesota with my husband and our 3 children who are ages 5.5, 3.5, and 4 months. I usually share about motherhood, homeschooling, and homemaking topics, and I'm really excited about today's video because we're talking about minimalist ways that you can organize your home and ways you can set your home up for success and to keep things really streamlined and simple. Well, our family we're not true minimalists. There are definitely some more minimal aspects when it comes to how we've set up both our home and our apartment, so I'll speak to that more in a little bit. Basically though, there are strategies and things that you can do to keep your life more simple, and that's what I want to share with you today, and hopefully it'll give you some ideas and inspiration for your own home. Probably like many of you, I love a good home organization or simplification strategy because it allows us to find things easily in our home and also put them away in a very easy to manage way, and then we can just get on living our life. So our family lives in 2 locations throughout every year. For about half the year we are at an apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment, and for the latter half of the year we are back at our house here in southern Minnesota. So that has really forced me to be intentional about systems that we have and the amount of stuff we have, just because if we're having a more mobile lifestyle where we're transitioning every year back and forth between 2 locations, I do not want to have to manage a large inventory of stuff, and I also just need to be really intentional and thoughtful about how we organize and manage that stuff. Real quick, I also have a video about how we organize all of our homeschool supplies and materials in a more minimal way at our apartment. So make sure you check out that video. I will also link that video below if you're interested in that. If you are a homeschooling family, then you'll definitely want to check that out. I'm excited about the ideas I'm sharing with you today because I'm thinking that you might not have heard of all of these tips. Some of them are pretty unique, so hopefully they will give you fresh ideas and really help you out in your own home. So let's jump into some of these minimal home organization tips and tricks. There are 9 of these tips I'm sharing with you today. Number 1 is to get your toothbrushes up off of the bathroom counter with wall toothbrush holders. Now that sounds pretty unique or also maybe really simple, but it has made a big difference for us. We always have stored our family's toothbrushes together in one of those, separated toothbrush cups, has holes at the top where everyone's toothbrush can poke down into, but I never really felt like it was super clean or a super sanitary way to store our toothbrushes. It's just what we defaulted to and just what worked for us because we all brush our teeth in the same bathroom, one of the 2 bathrooms in our house. We just all brush our teeth in that bathroom, so I just threw them all together in one of those cups. But a little while back I was thinking about sanitation in terms of toothbrushes and also just looking at our more cluttered bathroom counter right then, and I decided to hop on Amazon and order these wall toothbrush holders. I can insert a picture, otherwise I will also be linking everything down below that you could possibly look up in the description box. I love these wall toothbrush holders because of course they minimize that visual clutter, if you know what I mean, the clutter that your eye is drawn to, and also you don't want as much clutter on horizontal surfaces if you can help it. So that helps bring a more minimal feel and look to your home. These are super easy because they just adhere to the wall with a little adhesive that they come with. It's like an adhesive sticker back, and I just love how easy they are for our kids to reach and brush their own teeth and then pop it right back in because it has a little door. Each little toothbrush holder has a little door that lifts up and down, and so you can with one hand just hook your toothbrush back in there, but then it's still covered from, maybe if the sink sprays a little bit, something like that. So definitely check out wall toothbrush holders. They're very, very simple. It's a pack of 4, so it worked fine for the oldest 4 people in our family, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at how it eliminates some of that bathroom clutter. Okay, the next few tips have to do with socks. And I know that sounds silly and simple, like why would we focus so much time on talking about socks? But hear me out and trust me, because I think you will find that these will make a bigger difference than you might originally assume. So the first socks tip, that's tip number 2 here, is to wash and dry all of your socks together in one of those Delicates garments bags. I first heard this tip in the book Lazy Genius, or The Lazy Genius Way, a while ago, and I thought it was so brilliant. It is one of the main things I took away from that book, and it's just, again, it sounds like a silly little tip, but it makes a big difference. What you want to do is gather up all the socks when you start to do your laundry in the washing machine and put them all in one of those bags, wash them like that, and then move everything to the dryer, including the socks staying in that bag. That way you are not hunting for socks. It's a lot easier when your laundry is dry and you're trying to fold it, and you are able to better match your socks and get them put away quickly. I just think it's so brilliant not to have to look for your socks. Keep them all together anyway, because we all know what happens with socks in the washer and dryer. They kind of disappear, or they get stuck up someone's pant leg or in some sweatshirt sleeve, and then you might not see them again until you wear that item. So it's really nice to have a way to keep all socks together throughout the laundry process. Okay, tip number 3 is to store your socks, keep your socks in a bin near the front door or near the back door, wherever you are exiting the house. And I do this with my socks and with my kids' socks. I don't do this with my husband's socks. He has his socks in the dresser, but this is so easy. It just is such a wonderful way to streamline the getting out the door routine when you have little kids. This way you are not running back upstairs and trying to dig around for someone's socks, because usually that's one of the last things you realize that someone is missing when you're trying to head out the door on time. So like I said, I've done this for a couple of years now. This is our socks bin. It seems kind of large, but it has also our detangling spray, and I keep Sophie's hairbrush. And there's this other bag here, which I will talk about more later in this video, but this is where we are storing all of the kids and mama's socks, and it's right next to the front door. It makes it very easy for us to grab and go and get ready when it is time to leave the house. So definitely give that system a try, because it makes a huge difference, especially if you have young children. Tip number 4, also sock related, is to just have one sock color per child. Or I guess if you have more than, I just have an older boy and girl, so I have one sock color per gender, but you can kind of combine this based on the feet sizes of your children. Basically, my 5-year-old girl only has white socks, and my 3-year-old boy only has black socks. Now yes, they were momentarily disappointed not to have all of those cute fun patterns and colors and stuff, but I think they too are realizing that we are eliminating some of that decision fatigue when we are trying to head out the door. It's kind of a high stress or maybe a slightly tense time when you're trying to head out the door on time, and you don't need to be digging around. You can imagine as a 3-year-old or 5-year-old trying to dig around and remember which socks belong to you. So just having one sock color for Sophie and one sock color for Soren has made things so much more manageable. They're all together in this basket that I just showed you, and it has just streamlined our getting out the door routine even more. Sometimes you hear about giving kids only a few choices or a couple choices as opposed to some vast array of choices, and I think that even in little decisions like this, like working with your kids' socks and their clothing choices, giving them fewer choices actually can be an act of compassion towards our children, because we are sympathizing with them that yes, a lot of decisions have to be made, and it can be overwhelming to try to decide if this purplish color sock or maybe this light blue sock might be mine or might be my brother's. I just think that having one color to reach for every single time makes life so much easier. So what I did was I got 2 packs, I think, of 15 pairs of socks, which sounds like a lot, but you know what happens to socks over time. On Amazon, the pack had half white socks and half black, so then I got 2 packs of those, if that makes sense. I just have now essentially 1 pack's worth of socks for Sophie and 1 pack's worth for Soren. I will link below what I bought them on Amazon. It worked out so well to just get those 2 packs, and I got, I think it's ages 4 to 6 or 4 to 7, something like that. So it's a good age range of socks. They are maybe slightly big on my kids, but nothing that is noticeable or difficult for them, and their shoes fit perfectly. So just that age range of 4 to 7 works really well for my 3.5-year-old and 5.5-year-old. Okay, one more sock hack or one more sock tip. Number 5 is to keep a special bag for your socks that have no mate. Your socks without friends, I like to call it. And actually, I think at the apartment, I actually got a little label maker happy and I labeled my bag that says like socks without friends. But basically, I keep a gallon-sized Ziploc bag, very simple, in this bin, you know, that we keep near the front door with everyone's black and white socks in it, and I only put any socks that don't have a match in this bag. I never have socks in this basket that do not have a mate or a friend. I love this system so much. It sounds really simple and silly once again, but it makes a big difference because that way you know every single sock that you're grabbing for in that basket or bin is a sock that has a match. They're hooked together, or however you want to say it. I've folded them together. So this is perfect if maybe someone stashed a sock under the couch earlier and so you ended up washing an uneven number of socks and drying them. Then when you're doing laundry and trying to match socks, you just stick it in here, and about every 2 to 3 days, I just, whenever I think of it or walk by, I quickly look in this bag, and eventually you get some more socks in here, and each one ends up finding a match, and you can easily move that back out to the regular bin of socks that everyone grabs from. So I have found that to be just so manageable. It has helped so much because I had just gotten sick of trying to make any matches or stashing loose socks amongst pairs of socks. So definitely give that one a try too if you're trying some of these sock hacks together. All right, tip number 6, we're moving on from the socks, is to have a hanging file folder for stashing your kids' ongoing art projects. So our little art table for our kids, where we stash art supplies and where they often do art projects, can easily get overwhelmed with mounds and piles of paper and ones that the kids maybe want to keep and I don't want to keep, or I don't know if it's important enough to them. So I heard this tip from a friend that you can use a hanging file folder, just a small one, and you can keep it underneath the art table where everything is tucked away out of sight. And it's not like we're trying to make our house look like there are no children living in it, but we definitely want to organize things enough that it doesn't just become an out of control pile or heap to stir through, because then of course people forget what is at the bottom. So here is what I have. I got this little hanging file folder organizer, whatever you want to call it, off of Amazon. It was not very expensive. It came with these gray little hanging folders in it, and I quickly, let's see here, labeled them with the kids' names. So I've got Soren right here, and that's just where we stash whatever Soren has been working on, or sometimes he'll make like a really cute turtle or something and he'll cut it out, hypothetically, and tell me not to throw it away ever. So I stashed his little turtle in there. I just love having a place where we can whisk away that paper clutter. Again, we want to clear off any horizontal surfaces that we can, and that is a great way to just tuck everything away and not have to look at it, but the kids know right where it is. They can look at the little folder that has their name on it, and I highly recommend this system if you are struggling with kids' ongoing art projects and paper clutter. Okay, so Bjorn and I have been married for almost a decade. Well, next March we'll be married 10 years, which is unbelievable. But for the better part of a decade, I have been gathering or collecting paper clutter and what we feel are important or sentimental pieces and papers, and I have never had a really wonderful system for them. I mean, I put everything in like a plastic tub or a pile that went on top of the plastic tub. You know how that goes over time. And I finally had enough, and I wanted to have a place to stash, to keep our family's sentimental items and keep them in a safe way, in a way that they won't get bent or crumpled, and that we can easily access them, but also easily add to it over time instead of stirring through things. So I call this our keeping bin. It's pretty big. I'll lift it up to show you. It actually is a hanging file folder, and it is a big one, as you can see. It actually can accommodate both. This way, this would be legal size hanging file folders, and then this one is, what is it, letter size. So you can put things either way. I just went with the long way with the legal size, extra large hanging file folders. But this is actually fireproof. It's just from Amazon. I didn't really get it because it was fireproof, but it's a wonderful large zip up hanging file folder system. And basically, this is not for our most important documents. We have those stored in a more safe way elsewhere. But this is just a way to tuck things that are sentimental items away from the normal traffic and routines and hustle and bustle of the household. And it also has been such a great way to organize them. I can show you a little bit, or I'll talk to you about what is in here. So once again, this is not our most important or confidential, well, you could argue important, but most confidential documents, stuff like that. It's things like special drawings that Sophie made for Daddy when she was 2 years old, or some of our old family holiday Christmas cards, or holiday arts and crafts, or even some genealogy work that I have done in the past and collected some old family photos. So I love having a place for all of this to go. I will link below not only this big file thing, but also the folders that I got, and I think that might be it. The folders and this, and then you're all set to start organizing. But basically, I've got a little list here. The folders that I have are holiday cards. I have one for every member of our family. So I have one that says Hannah, one that says Bjorn, and Sophie, Soren, and Svea. And I want to stash special things like the lock of hair from Soren's first haircut. Things like that go into their specific family member folders. And we, like I said, have a family history or genealogy folder, so it's got a family tree in it, and then some older photos that I was given, like when my grandma passed away. We also have done holiday crafts in the past with baby handprints and footprints, so those are in here as well. I'll quickly unzip it for you to see here, but we've got holiday artwork, we've got everyone's names. In the back, we've got genealogy, and yeah, that's about it. As you can see, there is a lot more room. Like, I have a lot of wiggle room, a lot of space, but this will kind of help us to contain everything in one spot, and that has really actually helped us know where to put sentimental things. And it also helps you kind of decide in your mind, is it sentimental enough to make it into this bin, or could we maybe take a picture of something and do without? So definitely recommend having a keeping bin for your family's special items. So I know I've mentioned this before, but decision fatigue is something we are trying to eliminate when we are going for a more minimal or minimalist home style. And part of that for me has been organizing my spices in my kitchen and using matching spice containers. Now, I know this seems pretty superficial for some people, but I do recommend looking into it. I bought this set that I will link below in the description box off of Amazon several years ago, and I've used it ever since. It came with the little sticker labels to put on little glass containers, and I love having such a uniform look to my spices because then I'm not sifting and sorting through all sorts of different sizes and styles and colors. It's more visually appealing, and I think that just helps, especially if you are in the kitchen a lot. The set that I got, by the way, is 36 matching containers, which sounds like a lot, but if you cook a lot with different spices or just cook a lot from scratch, then you'll probably use basically all of those containers. The second part of this streamline your spice organization tip is to consider alphabetizing your spices. Now, I know that sounds rather type A, and maybe you can call it type A if you'd like, but it is such a game changer. So please give it a try if you haven't already. It has made a huge difference for me. I think I've done it for probably 9 years now, at least, you know, the whole of our marriage, because it works so well to have your spices in alphabetical order. I use Lazy Susans, those little plastic spinning trays, I guess, in my cupboards, and I have a couple of those, at least a couple of those next to each other, and the matching spice containers are on them, and so they can spin around, and I do alphabetize my spices, and then once I run out of, you know, space, I move on, continuing with the alphabet to the next little Lazy Susan. And again, it is such a game changer. It makes a huge difference because you can look in the C's. There are, by the way, a lot of spices that start with the letter C, but you can look for cinnamon or something like that, or chili powder, and you know that it's not anywhere near the turmeric or thyme. So you definitely can find and locate things a lot more quickly. If you cook a lot from scratch like I do, then it's going to make a huge difference for you. Now, I don't keep every single spice in my alphabetized sections because some you just use all the time. So like salt and pepper, I keep lower down on the lower shelf from my spices, and I'm reaching for salt and pepper all the time. And then I also have a little place where I keep seeds, you know, like poppy seeds or sesame seeds, and then also spice mixes like Montreal steak seasoning or something like that. So all the main spices though are the things that are alphabetized, and I definitely recommend trying to alphabetize your spices. It doesn't take very long to set up that system, and it doesn't take long to maintain that system as long as you take out a spice and then of course put it back instead of take all the spices out all the time and then forget about them and then stash them all back quickly. So I recommend just pulling out all the spices you've got, and if you've got matching containers then that's even better, but just lay them all out on the countertop and you can quickly get them in alphabetical order and then kind of line them back up in your cupboard that way. I think you'll find it makes a big difference in your cooking. I'd love to share more about how I organize things in our kitchen and my baking supplies or stuff like that. So comment down below if you would be interested in seeing a video like that. All right, let's get into our final tip for keeping your home organized and streamlined in a more minimal way. Tip number 9 is to keep children's water cups within easy reach for them. Now this of course depends on the age of your children and what you feel they can be responsible enough to handle, but it has made a big difference for us. I know this final tip doesn't have as much to do with organization, but it has helped to streamline our household, so I wanted to make sure to include it in today's video for you. When I was pregnant with our daughters, Faya, our third child, I wanted to find a way for the kids, for Sophie and Soren, to be able to fill up their own water cups and then get a drink without me maybe having to get up off the couch if I was resting and pregnant, but also I was thinking ahead to when I would be nursing a baby and maybe wouldn't be able to fill up a water cup as easily. So I found these little cups on Amazon. I will link them below. They are hangable little cups made out of silicone, and you can adhere this little hook, I guess it's called, onto your refrigerator or wherever you want, maybe on a wall nearby, and you can hook your child's cup through a little opening at the top onto that hook, and then it's so easy for your child to get that cup up and down. Now, I don't keep them with water stored in the cups, of course. I have the kids reach for their cup and then they can refill their water themselves, and it has just made a big difference for us. We don't then have water cups just sitting around because they can easily be poured out in the sink and stashed back up on the fridge, and we absolutely love this system. We have this same system at our apartment as well, and we have a water filter, like one of those side laying pitchers that has a little dispenser spout inside our refrigerator. So Sophie and Soren can easily take their cup off of the fridge and then open the refrigerator door and get themselves some water out of the dispenser. That works well, and then we have a water dispenser built into our fridge here at our house, and that again is an easy way for Sophie and Soren to fill up their water cups. So that's just an easy way for your kids to get a fresh drink of water themselves. So I wanted to mention that because it has been something that has helped streamline things in our home. Well, there you go. That's it for today. If you would like to see more tips and tricks like this, be sure to comment below and let me know. Make sure you're also subscribed to my YouTube channel, and my email list also has been coming out weekly nowadays, and I would love to have you join us for all of the fun and great new content that we've got going on. Hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you're at, and I'll see you in my next one.